Hello, Internet. It is I, Malik Aaron, and welcome back to Box Office Predictions. Today we're going to be talking about Bullet Train. So, as usual, we're going to be going over the pros and cons. So, let's get to it. Pros are star studded cast here, which is led by Brad Pitt. And Brad Pitt, boy, his track record is surprisingly good when you look at him. I mean, going through like his resume here. The Interview with a Vampire, he got seven. That was like his first, like his big break movie. Then he got Fight Club, which didn't do well initially, but became a classic later on. See, The Mexican, he was in the Ocean's trilogy. Troy, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Burn After Reading, Curious Case of Benjamin Button, Glorious Bastards. He was voiced in Megamind. Moneyball, World War Z, which I believe is still technically his biggest hit. I mean, I really wouldn't count Deadpool 2 because it was a very quick cameo. World War Z, that was all him. He's probably the only reason why that movie did as well as it did, because if he wasn't in it, that movie would have been hella screwed. But anyway, there's also Fury, uh, Big Short, where he was more of a supporting player. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Recently had an extended cameo in The Lost City. And yeah, sure, he's had some bombs. Ad Astra didn't land. Allied bombed. By the Sea, that tanked hard. That was like during like his relationship with like Angelina Jolie. Same thing with like this polar opposite of Mr. and Mrs. Smith. But for the most part, his track record is pretty good. I guess because he picks really good projects. So, yeah. And here he is with Bullet Train. And with the rest of the cast, I wouldn't call them draws, but they're definitely the type of people you would immediately recognize. I mean, you got Joey King, Aaron Taylor Johnson, Brian Tyree Henry, uh, Hiroyuki Sanada. I hope I said that right. Michael Shannon. Sandra Bullock's in this movie, but not really. You mainly hear her voice, and she makes a quick appearance at the end. Um, Bad Bunny, he's also in this movie. And the trailers don't tell you this, but Channing Tatum does appear in this movie as like this very, very minor character. It's basically a cameo, which got me thinking, huh? Brad Pitt, Sandra Bullock, and Channing Tatum in another movie. Where have I seen this before? Oh yeah, The Lost City back in March, where it was all about Sandra Bullock and Channing Tatum, and Brad Pitt was just an extended cameo. So I'm like, were these movies? Did these movies film at the same time? But I looked it up, and it turns out Bullet Train was filmed before The Lost City. So maybe the three just really wanted to collab, not just once but twice. I don't know. I thought it was just a weird coincidence. So yeah, the cast here, it's one of those casts, like with the exception of like obviously Brad Pitt, he's had a lot of hits, but it's the type of cast where not everyone's a draw, but if you add them all together, it's an appealing package, similar to what happened with say Knives Out or Dune. It's like that. It's like the right type of ensemble cast. So the cast is definitely a pro here. And then we got the director, David Leitch. Yeah, he's definitely made a name for himself in recent years. He was uh I know he worked on John Wick, like the first one. I think it was like I'm trying to I'm pretty sure was it like the two direct it? No, it was Chad Stahelski. But I know David Leitch was a big part of that. Then after that, he moved to like a directing gig. He did Atomic Blonde. Then he did Deadpool 2. Then Hobbs and Shaw. And now he's doing Bullet Train. So, yeah, I mean, Atomic Blonde did pretty well for itself. You know, considering it was kind of more of a low key action flick. It was never meant to be this massive blockbuster, but still did all right. Deadpool 2 did extremely well. I mean, it didn't do as well as people thought it would, but it still did great for itself. It's still one of the highest grossing R-rated movies of all time, so like what's there to complain about? Then Hobbs and Shaw didn't do as well as other Fast and Furious movies, but it overall did okay. It did all right. It wasn't like an embarrassment or anything. And here he is, Bullet Train. So, yeah, David Leitch's track record when it comes to movies is pretty decent. He hasn't had a single bomb yet, which is good. So I'd say, you know, his track record is pretty solid. So he's a pro. So that's pro number 2. Pro number 3. This movie is its release date. This movie, it was supposed to. The initial plan, the very initial plan was that this was supposed to come out in April, which would have been very weird. But then Sony smartly moved it to summer of this year. So it was initially July 15th. Then it got moved to July 29th, and then finally August 5th, where it's out now. By doing that, Sony have positioned this movie as being the last big movie of the summer. Like, because after this, things go down hard, very hard. It's a real hard downhill slope. So, like, this is gonna be the last hoorah of actually not just summer, but just of the box office as a whole for a while, at least until October. So yeah, Sony made a smart call here. It's kind of like what happened somewhat with like Lucy back in 2014, except it was kind of the opposite, where Lucy was supposed to come out like in August. It would have to deal with like the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie and the 2014 Ninja Turtles movie. Universal was like, we don't want to deal with that. Let's move up a little bit to like the week before Guardians. That way, we basically have a weekend to survive. And survive it did. Well, it didn't just survive, it thrived. It made a lot of money. So Sony kind of had a similar plan where it didn't want to get they didn't want this movie getting sandwiched in between Thor Love and Thunder and Nope. That would have been kind of a bad call. So they moved it away, and now it basically has the whole weekend to itself. Yes, I know Easter Sunday is also coming out this weekend, but it has the whole weekend to itself. So, yeah, smart release date is a pro. Absolute pro. Another pro is competition is really lacking. Every movie that's out is just old, weeks old, months old. Like everyone's already seen those movies at this point. And when it comes to like future competition, what is there really? There's no real direct competition after this. I mean, I guess there's Beast, like 2 weeks from now, but which could be a sleeper, but I'm not really betting on it. I think it'll do meh. I think it might do okay, but I don't see it being a real hit. So when it comes to Bullet Train, it has a long time to play out. Very long time to play out. Because again, just the schedule is just so sad for the next 2 months. So yeah, Bullet Train has plenty of time to play out. So lack of competition now, lack of competition in the future, pro. What other pros can I think of? Well, I guess Sony's they've been pushing this movie hard. I mean, obviously they would. I mean, considering who's involved. So yeah, I'm seeing like ads for it like all over the place. Like Sony, they clearly care. I mean, this movie cost like almost like 85 million dollars, so they need to make that money back. And so they're pushing it as hard as they can, and it seems to be working, judging by the preview number, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But yeah, ad campaigns very strong. You know this movie is coming out, so that's a pro. Final pro is its Thursday preview number. It's quite good considering this is like a non-franchise flick. It opened with like 4.6 million on Thursday, which again, really good considering it wasn't part of like this big brand. I mean, yes, that's less than Nope, which was like 6.4, but that had a little more instant demand than this. And I like Deadline, they talked about these numbers and they mentioned like a comparison, the Meg back in 2018. I was like, huh, that's actually not too bad of a comparison. So I'm about to show you that. Oh, I might as well compare it to Hobbs and Shaw too. Might as well. I have to look up the Meg with Jason Statham. Okay, so the Meg. The Meg. No one really thought this movie would do all that great initially because Jason Statham movies tend to be like very niche. But this was different. I guess people saw the premise of Jason Statham versus Big Ass Shark and was like, this is perfect. Because the box office just tells the whole story. It had a Thursday preview of 4 million and ended up opening with $45 million. And so this is higher. So Bullet Train's higher than this. So that's a very good sign. Very good sign. And then there's Hobbs and Shaw, which came out also in August of 2019. Lots of these movies are like late July, early August. This is just another one. That opened with 5.8 million Thursday preview. So this isn't that far away from that. And that opened with 60 million dollars. I don't think Bullet Train's gonna reach $60 million. That's a little much, but I think it will at least hit the 40 million range, or if it doesn't, it'll be close. So yeah, Thursday preview number is good sign, very good sign that this movie will do well this weekend and will exceed expectations. So yeah, strong Thursday preview number pro. So no real cons really. I mean, I guess the reviews are extremely mediocre. I'm gonna look at Rotten Tomatoes now off screen. It's at 55%, which isn't great, but it's not the worst. It's like far from the worst. I mean, it's not like it's Morbius or anything. But I mean, even then, some movies that don't get the greatest scores can still do really well. I mean, look at freaking Jurassic World Dominion. That is a prime example of a critic proof movie. And I feel like this will be the same because its audience score is a lot better. It's at 83%. So this is clearly one of those audience favorite type movies, which is great. That's great for this movie. So I really wouldn't call its reviews that much of a con because I don't think they'll have much effect in the grand scheme of things. So just wanted to mention that. I think that's it. I really think that's it. So opening weekend, judging by these preview numbers, I should be like super optimistic, but considering how preview numbers have gone with other movies, preview numbers have become a bit more front loaded than usual. So I'm gonna have to tone my expectations down, be more realistic. So I'm gonna have a bit of a wide range with this one. I think it's gonna open in between 35 and 45, somewhere in that range. Likely within the 40 million range, but I'm going with 35 to 45 just to be safe. That's what I think is good. I think that's reasonable. And that's what I'm sticking with. So 35 to 45 million opening weekend. It's total. With the lack of competition, it should play out a bit more than the average action flick. So I think this can definitely hit 100 million domestic. I think it has that potential. And if it does, it'll be the second R-rated movie to hit that in the pandemic. The first will be Nope, which will likely do it by either the end of this week or early next week. So that's great. The R-rated movie is really coming back now, which is awesome because it's literally all been PG-13 and a little bit of PG, like no R. But the R-rated movie is coming back in full force. So fantastic. Um, so I think it'll be have a final total of over 100 million domestic. It should do well overseas considering the cast is very international cast and the international setting. It should do well. realistically, but we'll see. And yeah, that's it for Bullet Train. Now, we got one more movie to talk about this weekend, Easter Sunday. Ew. And then that's it. And then next few weeks, we got Fall, Mac and Rita, Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. And after that, Beast, Dragon Ball Super Superhero, The Invitation, 3,000 Years of Longing. Yeah, you can just tell summer's over. It's just over. It's done. It's done. It's dead. Like, Bullet Train was the last gasp of summer. Which, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. It's more of a bad thing than a good thing. But at least Bullet Train can win. At least it can at least it'll succeed at the rate it's going, so that's good. It's not great for the rest of the box office, but it's good for Bullet Train. Anywho, that's it. So, that's it. That's all. Make sure to subscribe, like this video, leave a comment, turn on notifications, share the whole drill. Want to check out more videos like this? I got playlists on the homepage for all previous prediction videos I made this year. When it comes to like Sony movies, I've covered Uncharted. I covered Morbius. Sony haven't released that many movies this year, have they? I know there was Where the Crawdads Sing. That was like last month. I literally can't think of any others. I think there's Father Stew too. Um, yeah, that's it. That's literally it. So you want to watch those videos, you can, or any other ones I've done this year, you can. There's also the canceled series where I go over all the movies that were supposed to come out but didn't. I've covered Bullet Train 4 times on the channel. It was episodes. Look at this up. Episode like 69. That's when it first got its date. The 94. That's when it moved to July. And then 113. That's when it moved 2 weeks. And then last time I talked about it was like in May. It was episode 125. That's when it moved to August. So, yeah, I talked about it those 4 times. So if you want to watch those videos, you go right ahead. And any other cancel episodes I've done, I'm now done 146. Yeah, 146. So you got plenty to choose from. More than enough to choose from. So if you want to watch any of those, all those videos, I suggest binge it from beginning to now. Highly encourage it. Go do it. Then there's also box office recaps where I go over the box office results for any particular month. I just did the July recap like 2 days ago. So, yeah, that's new. August recap won't come out till after Labor Day. After the Labor Day weekend, I'll talk about it then. And I'll also do my summer recap, which will be a two-parter between winners and losers. I'll do that a little after the August recap. So stay tuned for those 3 videos, which will all come in September. So again, stay tuned. But if you want to watch any of the past recap videos I've done on the channel, you can go right ahead. And yeah, that's it. That's all. I am out. Goodbye.